The new edition of Kill Team is finally here, and Games Workshop has released all of the faction rules. We're going to talk to you about the ones that we think are the best ones to start with if you're fresh to Kill Team, and a few that you might want to avoid. So the brand new edition of Kill Team is here, which means a lot of new people are going to be getting into the game and trying to figure out the first team that they want to pick up. There are almost 50 kill teams that they can choose from right now, which is a pretty overwhelming number. And since we've played with, against, or as all of the factions in the game so far, we've got a pretty good idea of what are the easier ones to pick up and which ones have a few traps for new players. We're going to go through our list of the top 5 best kill teams to pick up for new players coming into the edition, and a few that have some like pretty big pitfalls that you might want to be more familiar with the game before you get into. A few things to note though, you should just pick the models that you think are the coolest and the team that you vibe with the most, and if you lose games, it doesn't matter and it's a learning experience anyway. And also, we're not going to consider how much each team costs or how available they are or how easy it is to get them or how many boxes they need, because there's just too many factors. We're talking strictly playability out of the box and how hard it is to lose with a team, because we've got a lot of experience.
All right, should I go first?
Yeah.
Number 1 team for me that I think would be great for new players. This might be an interesting take. I think everyone's going to agree with me.
Team 1, here we go.
The Tempestus Aquilons, brand new team.
Yeah.
The Drop Troopers. There's 2 main reasons why I think that new players are going to do really well with this team. First of all, their faction rule is not that weird.
Yeah.
When you first look at it, you think, okay, drop markers, what is this? They don't start on the board. That's weird. But honestly, it's not that weird, right?
You can do it.
One thing it does for you is it lets you keep most of your team off the board at the beginning, so you're not just gonna like die immediately.
Totally.
So you're gonna
huge.
last longer, and you're gonna get into turning point 2 no matter what. You're still gonna have bodies. I mean, I shouldn't say no matter what, but if you keep some of your operatives up in the ship before turning point 2, you know you're always going to get to turning point 2 and have bodies that can do something. You're never going to go into turning point 2 being like, wow, I completely threw the game in the first turning point because I didn't know what I was doing, and now it's like over already.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still do that.
Yeah,
but
you won't do it twice.
You'll still have guys to play with. You'll be a little bit more survivable because you can't get shot when you're not on the board. So lucky you. And I think it's pretty easy to figure out how to use the drop tokens. Like, it's very intuitive. I won't ramble on about that, but I think the drop tokens are not that weird. But the main reason that this team is so good for new players is because they have a lot of operatives that do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And also, all the specialists are super simple. You know, you look at other teams, you look at Warp Coven, you look at Hierotech Circle, and they're just so complicated, and there's like a wall of text on each operative's card, and it's impossible to understand it the first time you look at it. Here, you got gunners, which are like, they're just gunners. They just have good guns. Then you have the gunfighter and the precursor, and some of these operatives that have like 1 special rule or 2 very short special rules. They're not complicated. You read them once and you instantly understand how they're meant to be used. You don't have to think of like, oh, well, this makes no sense, and you have to play it 8 times to understand how you're actually supposed to use it properly.
Yeah.
Like, they're all so dead simple.
They have a lot of specialisms that are seen throughout the game, so they'll have a way to buff APL. You know, they have very standard weapon profiles that you'll see a lot. It's not like if you had selected the Stingwings as your first team, like that's the first time we've seen that Tau Flamer, you know, or the like Neutron Crystal. Like, it's all very unique stuff. And while I love that and I think it's extremely cool and engaging, I don't think it's like the clearest way to start Kill Team, whereas the Aquilons feel like they're kind of right down the middle of the fairway and you know, easy to wrap your head around to start.
What's your first team?
My first team,
Team 2, here we go.
is the Blades of Khaine. This is a team that's coming over from the last edition, obviously. I thought they were a great team to pick up then, but I feel like they've even streamlined it more. And what I really like about it is it's a team of warriors. It's not like each individual operative is going to have their own unique ability where they really need to be in the right place at the right time. So the way that this team works is that each operative will either be a Striking Scorpion, Howling Banshee, or a Dire Avenger. And based on what they are, they have access to a bunch of aspect techniques that'll just help them accomplish what you want them to be doing anyway. So your striking scorpions are going to be a bit more survivable. Your howling banshees are going to be a bit more lethal in combat, and your dire avengers are going to be a bit better at shooting. And so what I really like about this team from a beginner perspective is that it really helps you start to move your operatives and think about having the right operative in the right place for the right thing, and then it rewards that instead of punishing it when you miss it. Another reason that I really like this team as a new player is that it has 3 APL across the board and a decent wound stat and a decent save stat. So it's not like Space Marines, which I think, everyone knows are hard to kill and they do a lot of stuff. This team will help you stay safe without just being like a murder tornado that you charge into the middle of the battlefield and kill stuff. It'll help you start to think strategically and tactically, and I think it'll be a great team to pick up for those reasons.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, my next team that I want to talk about might be surprising to some people based on how this team played in the previous edition, but right now, with their little rework they got, I think...
In 3, here we go.
The Novitiates are going to be great for new players. All right, before, they were complicated. We know this. The faction ability, the faith points, it was so much going on.
Yeah.
And they had some like weird interactions with their models, weird ploys. It was just like very different from a lot of other teams. And I think the rerolls and how the rerolls worked with the faith points, it just got confusing. So first of all, the faith point system has been so streamlined. I think it's going to be so much easier to use. Instead of like a laundry list of different ways you can spend your faith points, there's basically just 3 ways. It's so much easier to look at. It's also so much easier for your opponent to understand. It's so easy to just tell your opponent, okay, I can reroll this or do this or do this. And it's so easy.
Nice.
You have 3 options. It's so simple compared to what it was. Also, a lot of their weird ploys that was like very different rules writing language than every other team. Those have been reworked. Plus they look cool.
Yep.
Nuns with guns, we
They
love.
certainly.
I think they'll be fun to play, and I think new players will enjoy being able to have better luck with their dice. That's the main reason. I should have led with that. If you don't want to roll bad, you can use your faith points to roll less bad. But it's
Yeah.
less annoying for your opponent than it was before.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's like one of those things that as the person controlling the team is like a little bit of tilt mitigation. And I
Yeah.
think that's really important for new players.
All right, what do you got next?
The next team I want to talk about for new players
In 4, here we go.
is the Legionary.
Okay.
This team, I think, is kind of the perfect team for anyone. Honestly, this team has been great since it came out, and I think the new edition has really ported that over. Like, it's all great. There are tons of different ways you can play this team, and by selecting, different marks of chaos for different operatives, there's so many different ways to mix and match this that I feel like as a new player, often you're just going to have, one team for a while, and there's kind of endless different ways to play this. Like, you'll never get bored playing Legionary because you can always approach it a different way. And that's something that I really like. Another thing is that, like I said with Blades of Khaine, they're a 3 APL team, but they have 3-up saves. They have access to a lot of damage reduction if you want to do that. Like, they'll stick around on the board for a while. Another thing I really like about this team is that it seems like of all of the kill teams that I can think of, the Legionary box itself is the least mandatory. This is such a kit bashable team.
Yeah.
All of the different chaos armies, or like just so many different ways that you could put this team on the table, that I think it's one of the easier ones to just get on the table even without making a purchase. I think if you're into Warhammer or if you're into miniatures or whatever, you can probably like cobble together this team somehow. And I really think that unlike some of the other teams we've talked about, and certainly a lot of the teams in the edition, they're competitive in any setting. And I don't mean competitive as in like you'll win tournaments, but I mean, some teams really struggle in the Gallo Dark, some teams really struggle in Beta Decima, but I think Legionary has so many tools at their disposal that you're never just going to be like totally outmatched just because of the setting that you're playing in. And yeah, on top of all of that, they're Space Marines, so they have access to fight twice, shoot twice, the new Astartes rule, which makes Counteract, which is the new Overwatch mechanic, super powerful, so they're very forgiving. You'll never run out of things to do with them, and you'll never get bored.
All right, one final team that we're going to talk about here, and I think you all know what's coming. It's...
In 5, here we go.
the Angels of Death.
Oh, I thought
right?
you were going to say Elicidian Star Striders.
It's kind of a combination between the two Space Marine teams from the last edition, the Intercession Squad and Strike Force Justian. This is your quintessential Space Marine team.
Yeah.
Right? You got intercessors, you know? This team is built on intercessors. However, you can throw in a captain if you want. You can throw in a heavy intercessor gunner. You can throw in an eliminator. You got some options to mix and match. You know, I think there's a lot of variety of how you can play this game, similarly to Legionary.
Yeah.
Because you can lean into a melee heavy build, go more shooting. There's a lot of list building tweaking between which operatives you take and what chapter tactics you take that can really add a lot of variety. And I think that's a lot of fun. Also, elite teams are great for new players, I think, because having a lower model count will help you just get the game going faster. You know, when you're learning the game and you're trying to think about all the different rules that are happening at the same time, sometimes games can drag on.
Totally.
But if you lower your model count, yeah, they have an extra action. Yeah, they can counteract more often. But overall, I think your games are going to be shorter with an elite or two elite teams on the table. I think that's good for new players because you can get more games in, learn more stuff. Also, probably a lot of people already have Space Marine minis. I know we weren't going to talk about that aspect of it, but you know, this team is very easy to just pick up a box of intercessors and get going, and then once you've played them a few times, you can think, oh, I want to add a heavy, or oh, I want to add this guy.
Yeah, and similar to Legionary, I think there are so many ways that you could represent this team on the battlefield. Like, you could do this with Tyranids, you know, using like a Tyranid warrior as your heavy gunner and like whatever. Like, I think most 40k factions have like a way that they could represent this. If you play 40k or Age of Sigmar, or even like I've got a Stormcast Angels of Death team, for instance, like, you can really make this team happen with a huge range of miniatures. Yeah. It's not just for Space Marine players. Obviously, the fluff is all Space Marine-y, but there's no shortage of ways to get this team on the table.
All right, one other team that I think we need to talk about here before we go on is
Team 6. Here we go.
the team of 1 HP gangsters and mountain goats that support us on our Patreon. Big shout out to them. Appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're getting spicy now. We're going to talk about a couple teams that we think you shouldn't start Kill Team with. Should I go first?
Yeah.
Team 6. Really, here we go.
Warp Coven got a whole rework, and I still think they're not great for new players. I think they're great. I love the rework. Looks so fun, but I still think new players probably don't want to start with this team because there's a ton going on. Their faction rules, all the different sorcerers, they have different abilities. You know, talking about why the Aquilons were good and they didn't have walls of text on their data sheets. This team, they're a bit wall of texty. So much better than they were before, but still, I think if this is your first kill team, you might be a little overwhelmed. So maybe give them a pass.
Yeah, and another part of that too is like if you're just starting Kill Team, there's a pretty good chance that you're playing against someone who's also just starting Kill Team, and not only will you have a bad time with Warp Coven, but your opponent will as well, because you're going to be flipping through pages and trying to figure out rules. And if you're a new player and you've bought a Warp Coven Kill Team, absolutely play them, and we don't know what we're talking about, but it's probably not the ideal place to start. The next team we want to talk about, which might be one to avoid if you're just getting started, even though I love this team.
Team 7. Here we go.
Is the Brood Brothers. This is a team that came out at the tail end of the last edition, and I think it was clearly written with this new edition in mind. However, it's a tough team to get a hold of right now, because even though you can buy the box that comes with the team, you're missing out on the Patriarch, the Primus, and all the other kind of big boys that you can get with this team. And even though you can play it without them, the team really, really struggles. Furthermore, even if you do have those big operatives, I find this is not a very forgiving team. So the way it works is that you have like 10 kind of meh operatives and then one great operative like a Patriarch or something like that. And if you lose the Patriarch, the team totally falls apart. Even though this is a very, very cool team and eventually a very, very fun and rewarding team, it's so easy to lose with this team. And I think for that reason, pick something else.
For that reason, you're out?
Exactly.
All right, well, I think that about does it for this video. So thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. And, you know, if you are someone that's just read all the rules for the new teams and you think we had some bad takes, or if you think we missed a team, let us know in the comments.
Totally.
That's it.
See ya.